Hi, well, welcome to our meeting. I've been fighting with a cat who I hope has now gone to play with something. So hopefully he'll not be back. Welcome to the meeting today. Hopefully we'll have a good conversation. I'll be giving you a news update. But first of all, can I ask each of you to say your name so that we've got you all on the roll? Thank you. Can we start with Howell?
Hi there, yes, Howell Jones, volunteer reader. I'm having to take a month off, unfortunately, because of some medical treatment, but hopefully be back in January.
Great, thank you. Bob?
I'm Bob McNichol. I'm involved with the East Dunbartonshire Visually Impaired People's Forum and also a trustee of your Queen Review as well.
Right. Karen?
Which one?
Either one.
Either one. Okay. I'm Karen Hansen, and I'm also a volunteer reader.
Fantastic. The other Karen?
The other woman. I'm Karen McPhee. I haven't done some reading for some time, but kind of one hand as a backup if needed.
Fantastic. Ian?
Hi, I'm Ian McKenna, not to be confused with Ian McKenna. And I'm the same as Bob McNichol.
Wonderful. Andy?
Hi, I'm Andy Cyril. I'm just a helper, a friend and advisor for the group.
Wonderful. Corey?
I'm Corey. I'm an employee. I am the producer and facilities assistant here at Queen Review and Deanwood.
Wonderful. Alistair?
Good evening, I'm Alistair McPhee. I'm a long-time volunteer of some 42 years now, reader and managing editor.
And Alistair, can you do the pleasure for Ian, please? He's on the phone.
The other voice that you'll hear, gents, Ian McKenna, you'll know Ian McKenna's voice. Ian is our production director who joined the board last year.
That's fantastic. Have we covered everybody? I haven't missed anybody. No.
Kat
Okay.
McLeod.
Oh, Kat.
Oh, hi, I'm Kat McLeod. I'm one of the volunteer readers.
Fantastic. Thank you, Kat. Have we got everybody now, Alistair?
Now there's a phone number there that who's that? Who's on? Oh, that's Ian McKenna.
Ian, yeah.
And I think that's it. Okay.
Fantastic. That's great. I'm losing that. So thank you very much for that, guys. It just makes it easier for us if we've got all that recorded. I'm going to give you the chair's report.
Okay. Eileen, the apologies for absence.
Oh, apologies for absence. Can you do that, Alistair?
As it happens, there are none, but we need to record the fact there are no apologies for absence.
Oh. Thank you. That's fantastic. Right, I'll give you my chair's report now. And then any questions regarding the annual accounts will be Alistair, of course, and I will help. Yes. Right. I wrote up some notes. I'll try not to read them verbatim. 2024 has been quite trying for us as a charity, with all of the cuts in the local authorities, etc., etc. It's proving more and more difficult to get the funding that we need. And I know Alistair's been doing a tremendous job, working night and day on getting these, phoning people and all of the rest of it. I don't know if things are going to improve this coming year. It looks like the local authorities are getting a bit more money. Sorry, excuse me a minute. Blooming cat. Yeah, so it might improve a bit this year. They seem to be getting more money, but who knows? So we're battling on, and with Alistair, Ian and Corey, we are still delivering a high service and a regular service, which I think is a more important part, to be honest, that we do this and the recordings are there for people that need them. We also lost one of our directors earlier this year, and I would like to say a thank you to Alan Clark. He was our chair last year, so I'd like to say a thank you to him because he did contribute greatly to our work, and he's still in contact and he still reads as well, so he's still in contact with us. We've not been able to recruit a vice chair or a treasurer. This has made it quite difficult for Alistair, our CEO, because a lot of the work has fallen on him. So we're hoping.
Eileen, sorry to interrupt. I just need to clarify. I am not the CEO. I am I'm the managing editor and a trustee. Okay,
I think of you as a CEO, you see.
No. Deny it totally.
Deny it, right? Deny it. Yes, so we're hoping in the coming months we'll be a wee bit more successful in maybe getting some people into these posts, because it would make a big difference, because it puts quite a lot of pressure on other people. We have as well lost one of our directors, Iona Lister. She resigned earlier this year. She did a lot of work for us. We'd like to commend her on that. And sorry, I'm losing. I've got a cat. Including her invaluable advice and guidance on the recording in particular, which was one of our specialties. We continue to liaise closely with charities in the area, as well as SCVO. I attended an event I think it was last month in Edinburgh, which covered many areas of the charity work. It was really, really helpful around the work of the Charity Commission, I must admit, things that I wasn't aware of. And the legal requirements are probably changing over the next couple of years. So that will be something for us to keep an eye on. I didn't manage to stay I stayed about 3/4 of it. I didn't manage to stay for the rest of it, and I missed the vegetarian lunch, which was really awful. Yes, actually, I think it was vegan. But anyway, we'll not go there. But the work that Q and Review do, and all of its volunteers, is amazing. I personally, my mother lost her sight in later life, macular degeneration, and she depended on talking newspapers and magazines to keep her connected. And I think we really need to keep that core value. That is what we're really about. And all the other things are botherations to us probably, but that's why we need to keep our money coming in, our grants coming in, because I think we'd be quite a loss to the community. Times are tough just now, but I think it's everyone in the public and charity sectors. I don't think we're being picked on. I honestly think it's across the piece. We just need to keep marching on. And I know Ian does a tremendous job despite breaking his toes and things like that, but he keeps going. This charity has been going strong for 40 years. And with the board and our volunteers, we can do another 40. Okay, guys, that is me. Now, the accounts, Alistair, how do you want to manage that? I can't hear you. Yeah.
Basically, the accounts were the accounts sent out earlier this year and approved by the board in time for the accounts to be submitted in September. These are the accounts for the year ended 31st December 2023. There is an audio version of the accounts that Eileen kindly recorded for us that's available. The PDF of the accounts are, I'll actually share my screen so you can see it. The PDF of the accounts is actually on humanreview.com/annual accounts 2023. And you'll see at the front of those accounts, there is a letter that accompanies the accounts that explains the fact that we have what we constantly refer to as liquid bricks in our account. Any questions on the accounts, you can either email Hamish McMillan, who's our accountant, directly at hamish013@hotmail.co.uk. If you haven't received an audio set of the accounts, I can either upload the audio onto the website and you can get access that way to it, or we can email or try to email. I think the accounts were small enough that we were able to email them to the in audio format. The account, with the year being the year ended the 31st of December, we would hope to have the 2024 accounts with us by April next year, once they're finalised.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. That's great.
Does anyone have any questions that they want to sort of address immediately, or are you quite comfortable either emailing Hamish or emailing myself later or asking for an audio version? Anyone otherwise minded?
No.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Eileen?
Right. A review of 2024. Alistair, do you want to start that off?
Yep. Now, what's going to happen is I'll go first with a PowerPoint presentation that I've pre-recorded. During it, if you've got any questions, you can, there's a Q&A button on Microsoft Teams if you want to submit your question there. If you're not able to do that, there's also a chat bubble here. You'll see if somebody wants to could somebody put a question or something in the chat bubble at the moment? So Corey, could you do that so as it lights up? If somebody wants to ask what's the Celtic Hearts score, I suspect there might be somebody who's also listening into that at the moment. That's women's football, by the way, before somebody... Right, did you put something in, Corey?
Yep.
Oh, what happened this year? Right, well, it's not lit up. It would appear on my end. Has it lit up in everybody else's?
Yeah.
The chat icon. Basically, the first button is the chat button, and you can put your questions in there as well.
If you just click on it, it'll stay open on the right hand side while we're watching your thing.
Right.
Okay. So, share. Press that button. Press that button. And there we go. Share. Corey, is that it sharing now?
Sharing now, yes.
And Corey, can you tell me if you can hear it once it starts? Hello there. What are Kuhn Review's plans for the coming year? If you decide to join the Kuhn Review Recording Service Board at our annual general meeting on December the 11th, 2024, you can look forward to being part of a meaningful and impactful journey. We truly value the commitment of our directors, and it's important to acknowledge that our board serves a purpose beyond just conversations. As trustees and directors, you will carry a significant responsibility to the Office of the Scottish Charity Regulator and Companies House regarding any decisions we make together. Your involvement is vital, and we appreciate the dedication you'll bring to our mission. When a duty is delegated to a director or an employee, the entire board plays a vital role in monitoring and evaluating these responsibilities. This collaborative oversight ensures that our processes remain effective and accountable. We are a collaborative team dedicated to representing the diverse views of our listeners, volunteers and staff. To enhance our efforts, it's important for individuals to actively sign up and participate, allowing us to create a more inclusive and representative environment. Now, what everybody is seeing at the moment is a mind map showing the committee formation process. And under the chairmanship of Alan Clark and followed through with Eileen Thompson, we've been looking at how we can go about securing our committee of 10 people, the Kuhn Review Board itself, the Deanwood Board, which is our enterprise arm, and the issues that are around about electing and finding office bearers. If we look at just the conditions of the current constitutions, we need to secure a committee of 10 people consisting of various representatives, ensuring compliance with constitutional requirements. The Kuhn Review Board has 10 people, and they ensure the effective functioning of the Kuhn Review Board itself and the service. They promote transparency and accountability, and there should at least be one listener representative. Now, currently we have 3 people, Margaret, Bob and Ian from the East Dunbartonshire Visual Impairment Forum, and we are very, very keen to retain them, to encourage and support them in whatever way we can, but also to learn from them and to learn how we can play a greater role in collaborating with our local Visual Impairment Forum. But specifically, we want to ensure that their voice is heard and considered in all of our actions. We also want to ensure that we have a volunteer reader representative, and during the past year that representative has specifically been Iona Lister. Now, Iona stepped down earlier this year, but she did an excellent job of representing our volunteer readers by undertaking surveys and also trying to recruit new volunteer readers, and we really did appreciate all that she did in that area. Now again, obviously part of that role is to advocate for the needs and concerns of our readers, particularly as many of them are now reading from their homes rather than meeting all together in our studios. The Deanwood Board has 4 people. They facilitate the functioning of the Deanwood side of things, which is what's known as the Bishopbriggs Media Centre, the building. It's our not-for-profit arm of the organisation. The office bearers there have the responsibility of committee members, and we have specific people for specific roles. As well as a chairperson, we also should ideally have a vice chair, but at the moment it is only Eileen, Ian and myself that are on that board, and we need to do something about improving that aspect of our service. Again, like any board, the Deanwood Board oversees the decision-making processes. We also then need to look at the restructuring and improving the operations of our charity and enterprise arm. Again, everybody is seeing a flowchart or mind map at the moment, and the first area is enhancing services and programmes. Providing listener and volunteer support includes establishing a volunteer staff-based telephone support line for listeners and volunteers, and currently through the Microsoft Teams side of things, and with our new BT phone system, we have the ability to have what is currently 6 lines, all set to answering machine, with recorded information on different aspects of our service. And so, for example, on the listener side of things, we also have that when you record a message, that message is not only sent to the Kuhn Review team members themselves, but it's also sent to the EdVIP forum members, the 3 directors from the EdVIP forum. So just in case somebody's actually inquiring about what they can offer, because as well as talking about the services that we provide at Kuhn Review, we also highlight the programme that EdVIP are running, where they meet and what times they meet at. We'd also like to expand the access to audio programme, and that we estimate would be around about £39,000. Now that was the figure in 2023. We have been able to secure some money from East Dunbartonshire Council's Community Chest Fund, and we've also got currently got applications in through East Dunbartonshire Voluntary Action and through the council again for 2 different funds there, where we're looking to continue the work of the Access to Audio programme. Through that programme, we also want to collaborate with local support groups by building closer relationships with local visually impaired support groups to better understand listener needs and their preferences. Now, by local in this case, we're not just meaning East Dunbartonshire. If we had the funding, we would be looking Glasgow-wide. Obviously, the next thing is promoting the smart speaker skill and the phone app. Now, we're very, very keen to work with the British Wireless for the Blind Fund to increase the uptake of the smart speaker skill and the phone app and to explore joint funded projects. We had a fantastic experience working with BWBF a few years ago when we helped fund the development of the Alexa skill, which is something we're extremely proud of. And in fact, today, as some of you know, I was up at Stob Hill, and while there, it turned out we ended up getting a couple of new volunteers while we were sitting chatting in the waiting room. And it also turns out that one of the people I was chatting to, her husband was visually impaired, so he's going to hopefully be signing up as a new listener as well. We're also thinking about looking at funding to offer a return to work training programme. For 30 plus years, that was something that we did through the old community programme and then employment action, employment training, and latterly through the long-term unemployed training programmes. If we were able to do this, we'd be looking through that funding to also take on somebody to be the Deputy Managing Director in effect, as well as an administrator. And they would be providing training in Microsoft Teams and Office 365, because not the sound recording side of things, because those are the sort of skills that are going to be needed by visually impaired people or people with physical or visual impairments looking to get into the job market or return to the job market. And the very fact that tonight we're holding our annual general meeting virtually, and that some people on this meeting may well be phoning in to join the meeting, highlights just how easy it is for people to be able to work and participate in organisations, either as a paid employee or as a volunteer, by simply doing this from their homes. Further to that, we would then look at ideally providing a work experience opportunity, and if we were able to raise the funding that was necessary, we'd like to be able to offer funded positions for work experience candidates. Now that would be at approximately £15 per hour, or at the very least what was ever at the Scottish Living Wage at the time. We'd also then look to have an additional £900 per person, so as each person joining the programme was then able to have access to whatever screens, laptops and any adaptions that they needed without having to wait on the Department of Work and Pensions providing those adaptions. Securing funding and reducing costs. Now, one of the biggest parts of my job is obtaining grant and corporate funding. We need to secure grant or corporate funding to cover core costs, including things as simple as the £8,000 a year that we spend on facilities, public liability and directors and officers insurance, and as well the £4,000 a year that we spend on bookkeeping and accounting and accountancy services. We also want to look at reducing our costs and improving IT services. Reducing costs by training team members and developing a better ICT package utilising Microsoft Teams, and these days also looking at AI and the role that it is playing in improving people's ability to undertake the tasks that they undertake. Forming a committee and electing office bearers. Now, as part of that, we want to establish the Kuhn Review Board, and we want to assemble a committee of 10 people to meet the conditions of the current constitution. We want to include at least one listener representative, as we said earlier, and one volunteer reader representative. We want to appoint 4 people to the Deanwood Board, but most importantly, we must elect a chair, a vice chair, secretary and treasurer. Now, if need be, the treasurer could actually be the convener of a small finance group, so as all the duties were not on that person. It should not be me. And ideally, we would have somebody who would be able to not just assist with maintaining the books, but would then also have the experience and knowledge of the organisation and how the organisation functions to help advise on financial responsibilities. It is not something that our accountant can do, and it is not something that a paid officer can do. It really should be a person on the board acting as treasurer. And the same needs to be said for the secretary. Then more recently, because we've been using AI and we've found the wonderful Firefly service, we've actually been able to record all of our meetings. Then, within about 5 minutes of the meeting ending, Fireflies creates a summary of the meeting, action points of the meeting, and who's responsible for what action points. It also then can retain a full transcript of the meeting, and that can also be sent out both in print format and in audio format automatically if need be. Now, as part of the office bearers, we are looking and have been looking for some time at having enough people to not only be on the main board, but to be on subcommittees that are convened under the various themes that we're working towards and are convened by members of the board, not by me. I might sit on them, or members of our team might sit on them, but ideally it would be our volunteers, be that our listeners, be that our readers, or be that those who help with fundraising or just supporters in general, who have an interest in what we're trying to do. But these would be subcommittees convened by board members. We also are wanting to look at hiring key personnel. Now, we've been trying to do this, and unfortunately at the moment, due to funding restrictions, I'm actually currently only funded for 15 hours per week instead of my usual 35. But we do need at least £39,000 a year if we are to have myself back on a full-time basis. We also ideally want to have a director, a deputy managing director of operations at £31,000 a year. We desperately need to recruit a part-time administrator at around about £12,200 a year, or whatever the current Scottish living wage is. Engage a part-time volunteer recordings coordinator at, again, the Scottish living wage. Developing a new constitution, work with an outside agency to develop a modern constitution for both the charity and the enterprise arm. Now, that's something we've been struggling to do over the past year because of the lack of hours, and because we've had issues around about the building and various other funding issues that we've been trying to tackle. We really need our volunteer directors, and we need our volunteers in general to assist with looking at how we can find the right constitution and the right type of constitution, bearing in mind the situation with us having the social enterprise and the mortgage on the building being ultimately owned by Kuhn Review through the enterprise arm, by the main charity through the enterprise arm. As of tonight, we are roughly 34 months away from entirely paying off the remaining £50,000 on the mortgage from the initial £450,000, something I'm really pleased about. We're nearly there. And when we can get there, obviously, all of the rental incomes from the building is then available in future to make the charity self-sustaining and to be a really productive and vibrant part of the community while still supporting small business. Now, in terms of the enterprises arms, building and finance, we've got 4 areas we're looking at: restructuring the mortgage, improving the building, evaluating the gym area, and repurposing the Kuhn Review space. The mortgage, well, we want to ideally move what was last year the £73,000 and is now about £53,000 mortgage from the Bank of Scotland to Social Investment Scotland. We want to explore additional borrowing from Social Investment Scotland to fund building improvements, and in fact I've now looked at the cost for that and have prepared 5-year projections for that. In terms of improving the building, we need to continue upgrades to meet current fire safety standards. We need to install new fire doors in common areas and the gym area, complete installation of a new intercom system, construct a bin shed in the car park, refurbish the exterior with new rough casting, investigate alternative heating methods such as heat pumps, wind turbines or solar panels, and install individual sub-meters for all upstairs offices. Now, to do that and to borrow that money, we would be then moving the mortgage, adding on additional borrowing, in that situation, using that opportunity to bring in the new constitution or constitutions if we decide to retain it as two separate entities. But to fund it in future, we would then need to increase our income from the building. And that's why we need to decide whether to convert the gym area into an office space, which could increase the income rental from £9,000 to £36,000 per year if we were to go ahead to do this. The refurbishment of the gym area into office space would be at least a cost of £15,000. Repurposing the Kuhn Review space. Now, at the moment, Kuhn Review doesn't pay rent, but we could be generating some £30,000 per year from the Kuhn Review space based on the rental that we get from upstairs if we were to repurpose the Kuhn Review space. But that would then mean we would not have studios, we would not have our own meeting space, and we would not have our own offices on the ground floor. We would though still have to have an office space in the building, and that space would then only most likely be an office. It would not be studios. So that's again why we're kind of dragging our heels on that one. But to upgrade the studio equipment, roughly would be in the region of £5,000. To do the upgrades to the office space, again, we're probably talking about £10,000, but it could bring in £30,000 per annum. If we were to keep the space as it is, we could look at providing a hot desking facility with new tables and chairs. Ideally, we would also look at providing tub chairs so as it's more stable for people with visual impairments or elderly people with mobility issues to get in and out of the chairs. And that again might mean that we could be more of a community space, welcoming people into the building. Now again, these slides now go into a wee bit more detail. As you can see there, it's kind of repeating what I've already said in terms of the costs of the managing director, the administrator, the volunteer recordings coordinator and the deputy managing directors. Now these were all at last year's prices, so obviously our last year's costs, and do not take account of any increases in national insurance payments. And obviously with the changes that are coming in April, we also need to look at that. In terms of the restructuring, we were talking about moving the mortgage, and again, as it says there, 450,000 in 2004, down to 73,000 last year, and now about £53,000 this year. Now we are looking at grant sources for some of the projects that we're looking at. Corey is currently our facilities assistant, but we need to provide Corey with improved training to ensure that he's up to date on things around about fire alarm testing and drills and monitoring maintenance and promoting the tenants and building via social media. And again, 12,500 was last year's amount, so it's basically that plus the current Scottish living wage. Now, the fire doors was something that was highlighted, and we have already done some work on that. Each door last year was costed £770. So all the doors to be changed was the £15,000 figure. Currently, we're looking at roughly £3,500 for the doors that really should be done fairly soon, and we're trying to find funding for that right now. We'd also want to improve the fire door at the gym area. The intercom system, the biggest problem there has actually not been money. It's been the fact that the tenants don't seem willing to actually be in the building when the engineers are going to be there. We're actually halfway through the installation. All the cabling has been installed, but we can't actually get the tenants to be there when the men are going to be there to install it, and that's causing us a huge issue. Currently the bins are too close to the building, and ideally we would find a space in the car park for a bin shed to be built, and we roughly estimate that to be about £600, as we said. The remaining parts of the building needing to be rough cast, it's about £10,000. But the biggest potential cost is we would have to find, if we want to do this grant funding, because we estimate it to be about £45,000 would be needed for heat pumps or wind turbine or solar panels, or a mixture of all three. On this, we've been taking the input from Chris Curry of Beaumont Services, one of our tenants, who this is one of the areas he's actually looking at the moment for his business. So it might be something we'd be able to work with them on. Now, there's also a suggestion that we would install individual sub-meters for the offices upstairs, because at the moment we pay their gas and electric bills. On the electric side, we think that would be about £200 per office, so about £30,000 in total. So it'd be quite costly, and we'd need to be able to justify whether that was money well spent or not. Now, we've then talked about the gym area before, and I don't need to go over that again. At the moment, the downside of changing it into office space is the people that come to use the gym. But really, they haven't been that involved in what Tune Review as an organisation has been doing. We've given them heavily discounted rates, partly so as they could help around about the building. But to be honest, since we increased their rent from £750 a month to £900 a month, their support has diminished substantially. And they've never really taken an interest in what Tune Review as a talking newspaper service does. The hot desking facility, again, that could be cumbersome to operate. I would need to find a way to keep a track on who was using the space, when they were using it, and how much they would be charged, and how long they were in for, etc. So that could actually up our admin costs. The studio equipment, we wouldn't necessarily be looking at the Myriad system again, the current radio standard studio. We'd be far more likely to be looking at laptops or desktop computers being used to just use Audacity on them to record what we were needing to record. But that would also then mean that, as I said earlier, we'd need to vacate the space if we were to revamp the Tune Review space into offices and move to a smaller office upstairs. Now, we did last year work with Andy Cyril, and we were very grateful in working with Andy and with our insurance providers. And we have now brought in not only facilities and public liabilities insurance, but we now have separate policies for both businesses for directors and officers insurance. And the total cost of all of that, as we said earlier, was about £8,000. Our accounting services, as we said earlier, was about £4,000. But that we have also looked in the past year at bringing in Sage. Now, as the accounting package, some members of the board were very keen for that to happen. I was extremely resistant on that, because anything I have seen so far would mean that I would not be able to use it because of the size of text. And it would mean that we were actually discriminating against myself, and I would be entitled to highlight that in any future disputes. I would also be highlighting the fact that at recent seminars involving financial management that I've been attending through the council and also through SCVO, people participating in those sessions have also highlighted that they are using similar systems to the ones that I am currently using. Recently, the information contained from those seminars, there was 3 seminars that I attended, and I was allowed to send out the audio from those seminars along with the slides to all the current directors, and I've asked them to have a listen where they can, to view the slides, and then to feed back to me on what they think about that. Now, one of the things, as we said, we're already offering the recorded telephone support line. However, we'd love to be able to offer more of an opportunity for perhaps some of the EdVIP more experienced EDVIT members to come along into the office or to use the phone service from their homes to maybe offer phone support to other visually impaired people in the East Dunbartonshire area. Not about, Glasgow-wide services, Scottish-wide services, but about things that were going on here in East Dunbartonshire, particularly because the likes of the Opal service has now come to an end. For visually impaired people, they can't see posters, they can't see leaflets and stands. It's kind of obvious, but the number of times that we hear, well, nobody who's visually impaired inquires about our service. Well, that's because they don't know you exist. So that's why we would love to be able to do more on that front. And obviously, as we said earlier, about increasing the use of the smart speaker service. But that would also give us an opportunity to also use the speaker service to actually, and the app, to actually get local information out to local visually impaired people. Now, we've talked earlier about the roles of the potential roles of a deputy managing director and administrator, and again, we've sort of highlighted there, repeated what I've already said. And then below that, we talked about the 15 hours per week for the potential work experience candidates. Now, if it was 3 people at last year's Scottish living wage rates, that would be £36,200 per annum for 3 candidates per year, or 6 if it was just a 6-month programme that we were offering. But the aim of that would be to get people into employment, or at the very least into volunteering, being able to volunteer from their home and being able to use the likes of Microsoft Teams products to actually then be able to play a more fuller role in the community. Well, that, guys, completes that presentation. Now, obviously, there will probably be questions which you might want to either ask tonight or you might want to ask later. But before going into that, tonight I've also asked Ian and Corey to do presentations. Now, it might actually be an idea, Ian, if you went first on the listener front. So I'll stop sharing. Hopefully somebody can confirm that you're now not seeing the video thing.
Yep, you're good.
Thank you. And Ian, if you now want to do your section.
Okay. Well, I don't have any visual prompts, but I do have some statistics from the Glasgow Times, for instance, from our BWBF page. Now, in the past year, we've had 40 users with 11,621 hits. That's for the Glasgow Times. And in the web player, we've had 70 users for the Glasgow Times with 1,564 individual hits. And again, the smartphone app, we can't really tell how many listeners we've had, but we've had about 320 hits in Google and 215 hits on iOS, which is Apple. Something similar from the Herald Scotland. For the smart speaker, we've had 27 users with 2,419 hits over the past 12 months.
27.
For the web player, we've had 71 users with 6,498 hits. Again, for Google, 61 hits, and Apple, 89 hits. So, for the national, which again, it doesn't have as many users. 9 users on the smartphone app with 365 hits, and 44 users using 1,101 hits. Now, although the national has got lower statistics, the articles in it are substantially longer than the other newspapers we cover. So, yeah, I don't know if that's maybe a factor in that. And for the Kirky Herald, we have the smart speaker, 29 users, 3,917 hits. And the web player, 30 users, 106 hits. And again, with the Talking Newspaper app, we can't really tell what they've been clicking on. But we do have 176 hits for Android and 38 for Apple. So yeah, I'd say we're helping quite a lot of people. It seems from that. On the volunteer front, currently we have 21 volunteers. These vary from our longest serving volunteer, Bill, who's in his 80s and has been volunteering with us for over 20 years and is very reliable and a real stalwart. To a more recent volunteer, Aaron, who's a student, and he's our youngest volunteer, and he's 18 years old. So we've got quite a mixture of young and old. But yeah, that's it. We had a fantastic response looking for new volunteers from our EDVA, East Dunbartonshire Visual Association, Visually Volunteering Association, about the new volunteers. So we've had quite a lot of new volunteers over the past year. And we were also helped by Iona. Her outreach to Woodside, Denison, Ruffin Hill, and Bridgeton libraries actually got us some new volunteers across the Glasgow area as well. Other things that we've been doing relating to our service is, well, I personally have attended events for visually or reading impaired people, including a Bite and a Blether in Bishopbriggs, the ABI or Abbey Cafe, to which I've been twice, which is acquired brain injuries, and that's for people with acquired brain injuries in the East Dunbartonshire area. And obviously a lot of people there have visual impairments, so I handed out quite a few Alexas to them. It's something we're funded for, just to give away Alexas and visit people's homes to set them up. Again, the D Cafe in Bishopbriggs and the D Cafe in Kirkintilloch. Again, I've been attending these events. These are events for people with early onset dementia. Again, who have maybe have trouble reading and keeping in touch with local affairs. So we've been giving them smart speakers, and on occasion visiting them to help them set them up. Although you do find that most people say they've either got a relative or a care worker or a friend that could do that for them. But I've made 12 home visits to set up or fix people's Echo Dots, which are the Alexa-enabled devices across the area, the East Dunbartonshire area. I also attend the EDVIP forum every Wednesday. So whenever they get new members, I try to make sure that everyone's up to speed with their. They can get an Echo Dot or an Alexa device, and that also helps me keep in touch with the visually impaired community in general and get feedback for our service, such as people not liking having intro music over the introduction of talking newspapers because they couldn't hear it properly and things, and and also get some feedback on our newer volunteers. And also around equipment, we had an issue where one of our laptops broke. I say broke, I spilled water on it, and that was quite an expensive laptop, but we managed to get it replaced by one on eBay with a Black Friday deal for £132, which is substantially less than it would have cost to repair the old one. So that was good news, and that's about it. So I hope that's satisfactory.
Thank you, Ian. Again, just to highlight for those who maybe don't know, that one of the things that Ian's been working on is also encouraging volunteer readers and also our ambassadors. You know, Karen, talking today to people at Stobhill Hospital, is in fact an ambassador. One of the things we've been doing is encouraging our volunteers to submit little testimonials and a photograph of them, how they record or who they are. And those testimonials have appeared at communreview.com/volunteer testimonials. And basically it's an opportunity for me to also put faces to names, but it's also an opportunity for us to use that as a means to encourage people to volunteer. There is also a separate page. Howell and Mary and Iona are there as well, and Eileen is there as one of our readers. But there is also a separate page about our trustees, and that page will obviously be getting updated. But you see there who our current trustees are. I will point out, Ian McKenna, I have not pinched your photograph off of your Facebook page. You may wish to give me permission later, or you may wish to send me a picture, as the same with yourself, Bob and Margaret. I'm seeing that we've not actually been able to add Margaret into the meeting. So again, we'll record in the minutes that Margaret gave her apologies and that we had a technical issue. So that's the two areas there. Now, if we could then now move on to Corey. If Corey, you want to give your part of the report?
Yeah, I'll be doing a report on basically just some building updates, that sort of thing. The way I've done it, though, is I've currently got a really bad cold, which was horrible 2 weeks ago and has this week decided to come back with a vengeance and is specifically attacking my sinuses. So I can't really talk for long periods of time, which is why I've recorded a video instead. So what I'll do is I'll just share that video and hopefully Alistair will be able to tell me that the... Oh, tell me already, that's not right. Right, include sound. And this little settings.
Is it working, Corey?
Doesn't seem to be. Give me just a second. Should I try again? There we go. Now it's going to let me do it. Wait. There you go. Can you see that? Yeah.
Yep, it's come through. If you now want to press play.
Hello. I'm going to give you a quick update on our building at 18 Crowhill Road in Bishopbriggs. This has been a trying year yet again. We are still having to deal with the council on a monthly basis as they keep sending us rates letters, even after we have sorted the issue. As an example, we received a bill a few weeks ago for room number 10 for the period of 2023 to 2024. During that time, the room had 3 tenants: Brownlee Plumbing, then Q & Review, and finally Impact Marketing Ltd, who still reside within the room. We once again had to contact the Council Rates Department to see who and for what period of time the letter was actually for, and after being informed, it was then pointed out to the Council employee that we had already dealt with for this exact room, that we had already filled out the form for that exact room for that exact period of time, just 2 months earlier in August, with the same council employee. We have yet to hear back from them and currently have no idea of the outcome. Earlier this year, we also applied for our usual charity exemption from rates for our main office. This happened in April, and it wasn't until June that we received the rates letter from the council, again, asking for rates payments for our office. When we did contact them, we were informed that we did not get our charity exemption. We have no clue why, and that at no point did they think it was important to inform us of this. Thank you, East Dunbartonshire Council Rates Department. On a lighter note, we have finally been able to get the worst of the potholes in the car park repaired. We were unable to do it earlier in the year due to bad weather we have had this year, but the work is now done and the car park looks a lot better for it and is now safer for it. We currently have 2 rooms available with a third becoming available on a certain date once Martin has left, but I am not sure of the exact date at the moment. At the start of next year, we will likely see an increase in the people interested in rooms as the new year, new me can improve the expansion of a small business. Room 12, however, will need to be done up before it can be occupied by a new tenant. The current carpet is ruined and it will need some holes filled and repainted to bring the room back to standard. There is also an issue with the radiator in room 12, but we are in the process of getting that fixed. Utilities continue to increase in price thanks to the war in Ukraine. Of our 4 building utility connections, 2 gas and 2 electricity, only 1 is in debt currently. All others are in credit, or in the case of SSE, we just pay the bill when it comes through every 3 months. We are currently in debt to British Gas, which provides the gas for the entire building, the main part of the building, rather than just the Q and Review office. We are currently £2,215.32 in debt to them. This may seem like a lot, but at the moment we're in winter, so the actual speed of the debt going down is a lot slower because we're actually using power at that point in time. And on top of that, the other reason that it seems like a lot, but again, last year we were actually double this amount. And on top of that, one of the reasons that it hasn't went down as quickly this year was because British Gas took it upon themselves to reduce the amount we were paying. We were paying about £900 a month to pay off the debt from last year, which they then decided to change to £300 and something. And then in October, I think it was, sent us a letter to let us know that they had increased it back up to 900 because we were still in debt. Why they reduced it in the first place, because we've never went under 2k of debt, I do not know. And why they did that without informing us, again, I do not know. But they did. But now that it's been changed back to the original payment plan of £900 per month, hopefully that should be paid off by this time next year. That's pretty much all the updates with the building. At the moment, we are hoping to get in some form of funding so that we can upgrade the studios and get them back into proper working order. Currently, we only have 1 working studio. I'm going to go ahead and pause because the rest of the video is actually stuff that Ian's already covered. So there's not much more to say on that. If you have any questions about the building or anything like that, or what it's like to continuously have to deal with weird office workers that don't inform you of things, let me know. You can put a question into the meeting chat, or of course you can email me. I'm producer@qandreview.com, so you can just email me or give us a phone call and press, I think it's 6, isn't it, Alistair, to go through to me, and I'll give you a call back. And we can have a chat.
So basically, guys, that's your team's report on where we're at and where we're hoping to be going in the coming year. Everything we're up to does depend on funding, and we're fighting hard to bring in our share of funding. As I say, we're waiting on 2 big grant applications coming in, hopefully before the results coming in before the end of the year. And again, we're very keen to work in partnership with other organisations, possibly round with EDVIP, round about the sort of winter warmer type approach. Also with EDVIP around I know they're keen to have a Bishop Briggs venue, and that's maybe something we could look at working with them on in terms of the furniture. But ideally, what we're also looking for is projects that we can do with BWBF and similar larger organisations to bring in much larger size funding opportunities. So that's us. So Eileen, back to you for item number 7.
Item number 7. We're way down there. Right. Nomination. Right. We're talking about nominations now. Nominations confirmation of the chair. Is that me?
Yes, that's you, Eileen. Are you willing and able to continue as our chair?
Yes, yes.
Does anyone wish to object to Eileen continuing as our chair? That would appear to be a no, Eileen.
Okay,
So
thank you.
congratulations, Eileen. You get to remain having to deal with me every week.
Smashing, Alistair. What more could I ask? Right,
Back to you, Eileen.
Right. Nomination of vice chair, and on this one, I take it, is anybody willing, able, or would like to volunteer to be a vice chair? If not, we'll have to, I think, probably advertise again. No. Okay.
So, no.
No, I think at the start of the year we'll maybe do that, Alistair.
Just in case, at the moment, Ian McKenna and Kat McLeod, just in case you don't know, you're both on mute at the moment, in case that was you desperately trying to put your names forward. They're not unmuting themselves.
No,
Eileen,
they're not unmuting, so that's it,
yeah.
No, I think that's something that we are going to have to do some advertising after the year. And I think maybe the same, unless somebody really wants to be our secretary, a nomination for secretary, which is something we really need, actually, because I think it's one of the things where there is stuff to do, isn't there, Alistair? And you're doing it just now.
It's something I would be happy to have a conversation about.
Oh, thanks, Kat. That would be good. Do you
I'm not
want
saying that I'm absolutely the best person, but perhaps we could initiate a conversation about that.
Brilliant,
you okay
Kat.
to do that, Alistair?
I'd be very happy to do that, Kat. One of the things, as you of all people know, when we were supposed to have our meeting the other day, that was when it was becoming evident I'd fallen down the stairs, and I may, as it now turns out, have broken bones. But basically, I was talking to Lenzie Community Development Trust the other day, because their secretary loved fireflies and how much easier it was making the dreaded minute taking. So yes, Kat, and I know a bit about your job, that it might be quite a good thing for you and I to have a chat about how AI could assist in that whole process. So yes, please, I will gladly rearrange our meeting and talk to you then about that. So
That's
thank
wonderful.
you for that.
And you'll be careful on the stairs this time.
I wouldn't go that far, Eileen. No, I'll just point out there was no drink involved.
No, just do what I used to do when I've had all my broken bones. I just sit in my bottom and get down the stairs that way.
I think that might be happening.
Interesting things. And appointment of auditors. Are we sticking with the same auditors, Alistair?
The treasurer one, again, realistically, I think that is going to end up being a convener of a finance group. And
can I just ask,
go for it,
to interrupt, if there's an opportunity to split the treasurer role, I can't be as check secretary, I can't be anything like that because of the conflict of interest, but I would be interested in perhaps helping just to sort of smooth out and streamline a little bit the bookkeeping side of it. So more the admin-y bit of it. I'd be happy to
that sounds good, Karen. Yeah, so we split them. Yeah, that would be good.
I think that may be the best option. So at least you're getting some assistance, although it's not the treasurer assistance. Then it would be
that would be good.
Side.
No,
I will point out there's not enough money for the two of us to spend 6 months in the Caribbean if a husband and wife decide to raid the Kuhn Review bank account. I'm well aware this call's being recorded, but so that's
I can't do it. So
Karen is not legally allowed to do it, so that's why we're talking about that. And then back to you, Eileen.
That's fine. So you take that forward, and I think for the formal auditor, we're going to have to go out again, probably at the start of the year.
Well, basically,
or do we use our accountants?
We're not legally required to do an audit. And again, because of the size of organisation that we are. But they do need to be independently examined, which is why Hamish prepares the figures and then he gets somebody to check his work basically and look over everything. Now, at the moment, we've had no objection to Hamish continuing in that role, and he's not indicated any change of mind on that front. And again, particularly in light of the recent information that I've sent everybody, that's again partly why Karen is saying what she's saying about assisting in that process. So I'd be happier at the moment anyway to stick with Hamish.
Stick with that. No, that sounds good. Everybody else quite happy with that? Anybody think otherwise? It sounds like a good solution for now. Yeah. And thank you, Karen, for volunteering.
Now, the one that's not on there, folks, is as we mentioned earlier, Iona Lister stood down as our readers representative. We really would like to have another readers representative on the board. Now, I'm well aware that the three main readers who are here tonight, Hywel, you've got your own issues at the moment you're having to deal with. And Kat, if you were coming on to be a secretary, that would be fantastic. Karen Hansen, would you be interested in being a readers director and representing the views of readers?
Yes, in principle, yes, I would be, with pleasure. You can let me know you can give me an indication of what's required, and that would be, I'm sure that would be just fine. I don't know.
Primarily what will happen is that we would show you we would turn you into a Microsoft Teams genius by the end of the process. In that, one of the things the readers director also has a phone number that is on the main switchboard number, and when people leave a message about anything to do with reading, or if Ian's not available to handle it, Ian gets a copy of the message, but so would the readers director. So if a volunteer reader phones up and says, look, see that bloke McKenna, he's a cheeky so-and-so, he keeps asking me to read the National when I tell him I don't want to read it, then that message would go to you and you could raise it with the chair. Or similar issues. It might be see that bloke McPhee, but it's around about that sort of thing as well. That's we're trying to automate as much as we possibly can, and the new phone system allows us to do that. So Ian and yourself would both get that sort of information sent to you, and that would be really useful if you could do that, Karen. And it would certainly, you've obviously got the past experience as well of being in on an evening, what was it, a Thursday evening, doing Inside Soap magazine and Just 17 magazine with Karen McPhee. So all those years ago. Yeah. Exactly. We won't talk about that, but that would be brilliant, Karen, if you can consider that, and I'll have a chat with you about that as well.
That's great.
Fantastic. Now, Eileen, last year we said we were going to have an AGM on a specific date, and as we all know, there's been various issues that has meant that we've had to make it this time. Ideally, the AGM should be the final Wednesday of October, and we'd look to be doing that again next year.
Yeah.
Now, so that would then be as of, I'll put in the minute the date that I'll look it up, and we'll announce that.
That's good.
The other one, Eileen, is that what was I going to say there? Tonight's recording, just so as everybody is aware, the meeting has been recorded tonight. Hopefully what we'll be doing is making that available in the Kuhn Review Friends group, which, if you're not part of the Friends group, we tend to, there's about 100 or so members of that. It's past and present supporters of the charity. So we'll put a recording of this meeting in there for other people to see. Tonight is also an opportunity for us to show trustees, or not trustees, funders, trust funds, what we get up to as part of that process. But the other thing I would like to do is if those who are not on camera at the moment would be willing, when I deal with the recording afterwards, I'll also take a screenshot of everybody who's in attendance and use that just to promote the fact that people turned out tonight for tonight's AGM virtually. Because again, one of the things, we are one of the few talking newspaper groups remaining in Scotland that actually have volunteers from all over Scotland. And that's one of the reasons we like using the virtual setup. So if everybody's comfortable with that, Karen's just put a photograph on. Ian, again, I'm sorry because you're phoning in. All we get to see of you is a turquoise circle with a wee, don't take offence at this, with a wee weeble. If anybody remembers the Weebles, with a name like McPhee, there were certain rhymes that went with my nickname when I was at school. I'm hoping Mr. Cyril doesn't remember any of them. But basically, this will be the point at which I'll be taking a picture. So Ian, cheer up. Smile. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Back to you, Eileen.
Well, that's us, unless there's any other business. Anybody? Anything burning? You can get hold of us anyway, anytime. But thank you very much indeed. That's been really, really good. Sorry for the wee delay at the start, but we got there in the end. It's all this IT stuff. I worked in IT for a long time, and it's still much the same as it was when I worked in it, will I say. But thank you very much indeed, and all enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.
Alexa, play Talking Newspaper.
Welcome to your Talking Newspaper skill, where you can hear talking newspapers recorded by volunteers from across the UK. This free service is for visually and reading impaired people. You can find out more at www.printaudio.org. Please say the title you would like to listen to.
Play The National.
Did you say The National?
Yes.
This is Cue and Review The National.
Recorded from The National on the 2nd of June 2021. From the Culture section. Abominable mystery may now be solved after discovery of fossils in China, by Gregor Young.